Hello once again. This is day 3 of A Taste of Thomas Merton. And today we're going to see a quote that is the means to seek God perfectly, and it's about our giving up our judgments, and it contains one of my favorite quotes of Merton, and I borrow that quote a lot, and I'll explain how in just a minute. So this is what it means to seek God perfectly. To cultivate an intellectual freedom from the images of created things in order to receive the secret contact of God in obscure love. Well, I'm not sure if I understand that at its deepest level. My guess is I probably don't, but I can understand to the extent of us not dwelling on the material world. We realize that the spiritual world is far more important and is beyond the world of the physical. And so that gives us a freedom from the images of created things, and it draws us into the hiding place, the secret place, going into our spiritual closet, the inner person, and having contact with the Holy One. He says to love all as myself. This is what it means to seek God perfectly, to love all as myself. And that is to love God and to love others. And I know that Thomas Merton was in love with nature. He has whole books where he just describes the natural world. And even in this text, there are lots of references to the beauty of the natural world and how God is expressed through nature. So I think to love all as myself would include environmentalism. That was not so much a thing at the time of Merton, but he loved the world. He loves animals, he loves plants, he loves crops and trees, and of course, people. Next, he says, to rest in humility and find peace in withdrawal from conflict and competition. One of the things that I've learned, not just from Merton, but also from observation of the world, is that when a society is infiltrated by a spirit of competition, you see it everywhere. We see it in our obsession with sports, in our obsession with getting more things and having more money. We're in competition with students to get the best grades, to win the prizes. We're in competition with those at work instead of necessarily in cooperation. We're in competition to get the promotion, get the raise, get the best assignment. And of course, ultimately, one nation in competition with another leads invariably to conflict and war. If we would rest in humility and find peace, we need to withdraw from conflict and competition, to turn aside from controversy. there are a couple of areas in Merton's life that are shrouded in controversy. And one is that at one point in the monastery, he had to go into the hospital and have back surgery. And during his recovery, he fell in love with one of the student nurses. And they carried on a relationship primarily of telephone calls and possibly one or two meetings that were outside of the hospital and outside of the monastery. It causes some people to disregard Merton altogether, but other people recognize that priests and monks and brothers and sisters and bishops and cardinals and pastors and elders, they're all people. They have the same emotions, the same temptations, and the same challenges as everyone else. And when this happened to Merton, he gave up his relationship with this young woman, remained faithful to his vocation in the monastery, and went on to live many more years in the monastery, doing God's work and living in silence and prayer. And so he says, let's turn aside from controversy. Put away heavy loads of judgment and censorship and criticism, and the whole burden of opinions that I have no obligation to carry. So I'm sure that he is probably speaking of himself here, that just like all of us, he passed judgment on others, was critical of people at times, criticized them, and he's saying that to seek God perfectly, we need to put away this heavy load of judgment, censorship, criticism. And so when speaking about Merton or anyone else who is sharing their spirituality, and this is across the board, anyone in any position, anyone that we hear about, any controversy, any criticism, let's put it aside and not carry that burden. So we have no business dwelling on any controversy in Merton's life. And you might say, well, wouldn't that have affected his work? Well, it may have, but what I'm saying is, instead of dwelling on the controversy and writing someone off, let's look at what they wrote and see if when we apply it to ourselves, it has any value. And then he said, lay aside, put away the whole burden of opinions that I have no obligation to carry. That's my favorite quote. When people ask me things, I love to say, I have no obligation to have an opinion about that. I have no obligation to have an opinion about your lifestyle, your politics, your religion. I'm not obligated to pass judgment or have an opinion or to criticize. He goes on to say, when we've done all those things, we've cultivated freedom, we've gone into the secret place to contact God, we've loved others as ourselves, we're living in humility and peaceful withdrawal from competition, and we've given up being a critic. He says, then wait in peace and emptiness and the oblivion of all things. Wait on God. Give up this world and wait on Spirit. Well, that's it for him today. I have another one for tomorrow, so I hope you'll join with me as we take another taste of the writings of Thomas Merton. I'll see you then. Bye for now.